town, which is wonderful. Just a little bit of a parish notice, if you like. I think at one stage we rather thought that we were going to have a team photo this evening. That's not going to happen. Do we know when that will happen, Adele?
At the annual meeting.
At the annual meeting, so probably need to brush yourself up for that. No, that sounds insulting. Right, we're going to get this meeting underway, if we may. So item number 1 is apologies for absence. Do we have any apologies for absence, please?
We have apologies from Councillor Amanda Ewins.
Good, thank you very much. Well, not good, but...
She's not well.
Sorry, and Councillor Judy Hughes.
Thank you very much. Declarations of interest, you know the rules. Anyone, please? Nope, good. It's good progress, this. Minutes of the last meeting on the 24th of March, which I'm no doubt you've had a chance to have a look at. Any comments, questions, please? No, we'll take that as being approved. Do we need to vote on that? I can't remember now. Yeah, so can I have a proposer for that, please? Thank you, Councillor Ward, and a seconder, Councillor Moody. Thanks. All those in favour? Good. Thank you. Public representations and questions.
Matters arising.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, and matters arising from that. I don't think there are any. Do we need to do that?
I think I need to ask.
Yeah, has anybody got any matters arising? Sorry. No, good. Public representations and questions. As far as I'm aware, we have none. And then we move on to items requiring a decision. The first one of which is the general finance, item 5, schedule of payments. I don't think this was actually sent out with the papers, Adele, but it's available online.
It's online.
Yeah, it's online. So if you have had a chance to have a look at that, that's fine. Has anybody got any questions or items of interest in that respect? No. So that does require a vote of approval. So can I have a proposer, please? Thank you, Councillor Smith. Second, if we could, Councillor Martin. All those in favour? Thank you.
Approved.
Good. Item 6, Budget and Policy Committee. I'll ask Deputy Mayor, please, to deal with that. If you would, we've got a couple of decisions to make as we go through.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I rise to present the minutes of the Budget and Policy Committee held on the 14th of April. 366 apologies for absence, 367 confirmation of minutes, 368 declaration of interest, 369 items circulated for a recommendation to Council Employment Rights Act 2025. It was recommended that Tavistock Town Council note the position as set out and accompanying policy changes required, and B, endorse the provision of specific training as necessary, e.g. sexual harassment duty. 2, the reissue of an amended staff book and recirculation to confirmation by staff once the new policy arrangements were substantially completed.
Thank you.
I will move those. If I can have a seconder, please.
If I can just point out for those of you that weren't at BNP that one of the questions I asked the town clerk at the time was an idea of the impact of these rules on the way he and his staff are going to work. The answer wasn't straightforward. You'll be surprised to hear. But I think the one thing I did get out of it is it's going to be quite a substantial change and will make particularly recruitment somewhat different to the way it is at the moment. So please bear that in mind. No doubt members, we won't really see the machinations going on down in the engine room, but we probably need to be cognisant of the fact that town clerk and his staff are going to be working quite hard to implement this. So,
Seconded by Councillor Monroe.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Munro. All those in favour of the recommendation, please. Thank you very much.
Items circulated for information only, 370 updates, 371 town twinning. It was recommended that the allocated budget be awarded to the Twinning Association to support the 2026 visit schedule. I'd like to propose that, please.
Any comments on it, first of all? Councillor Ward. Of course, yes. Yes. Yes, indeed. I don't think that precludes you from making a comment if you'd like to. No. Anybody else? No, thank you very much. So we have that proposed. The seconder, please, Councillor Hutton. All those in favour? Wow, this is pretty good going. Splendid.
372 exclusion of press and public bodies admission to meetings Act 1960. So we'll take the rest of that in part 2 later on.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. So we move on to item 7. So this is a planning matters issue, which involves the neighbourhood plan. The Town Clerk has written a briefing note on that item, which I hope you've all read. The paper trail is somewhat complex, I have to say. I've finally worked it all out, how we came to this point. But basically the recommendation is on page 4 of the Town Clerk's briefing note, and the recommendation is as follows. So this is item 3.1 on that briefing note, para 3.1. Should the Council be minded to endorse minute 358, which was in the
31st of March.
TMNL, yeah, on 31st of March. Good. In due course, then it to do so contingent on the outcome of a review undertaken by Stuart Todd Associates as outlined above, in particular in para 2.5 accordingly. Stuart Todd Associations be commissioned to undertake the review accordingly at the earliest opportunity. I do have an estimate of the cost of doing that, which I will share with you in part 2. Councillor Parker.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move the recommendations.
Splendid, thank you very much. Does anybody have anything else to say about the recommendation? Councillor Hutton.
How can we vote on something when you're going to give us some very relevant information in part 2? I'm not saying I'm going to be against it.
No.
I mean, I would like to know.
No, it's a good point. It's a very good point, and the General Manager will address that.
The costs are de minimis in relation to such a review, so we're talking about between £1,000 and £2,000.
Yeah. So no. I can't actually give you a figure that's more accurate than that. So, good. Councillor Parker has proposed.
I'll second, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Wood is second.
Second. Excellent. Good. Yeah.
A few words, if I may.
Please do.
I support this report. The review of the...
Could we? Thank you.
I do
Thanks.
support
Thanks,
this
Graham.
report. The review of the neighbourhood plan is becoming ever more urgent. Indeed, even since the report was written, West Devon officers have said very clearly that the joint local plan is dead and that its policies carry zero weight. Now, whilst I believe that is wrong, that's West Devon's current position. West Devon members believe that this means that the council can't stand in the way of new housing developments. Again, I believe that's wrong, but that is West Devon's position. Decisions are being made on that basis, one in Lamerton and one in Bratton Clovelly in the last few weeks. Following that, though, there's been a High Court decision that has shown us that local plan policies can still carry weight. So the situation is really, really confusing as far as the local plan is concerned. But the main point is that it'll take 3 years to review that local plan. And in the meantime, Tavistock and every other settlement in West Devon will be subject to that confusion. This tells me that the sooner we move on with my neighbourhood plan, the better. Now, looking forward, I hope that you will approve Minute 358 of the 31st of March DM&L committees. And I confess that that represents the committee's views, but I do confess that the thinking was very much led by me. I've always accepted the possibility that I might be wrong, or that there may be better ways of achieving what we need for Tavistock. Therefore, I completely support the Town Clerk's cautious approach set out in his report. In particular, I support the appointment of Stuart Todd. He's got extensive neighbourhood plan experience, not just in West Devon, but throughout the whole of the South West. And he was the planning advisor on the original neighbourhood plan. So I'm incredibly happy to support this report, and I hope we can all support it and move on with the neighbourhood plan. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Splendid. Thank you very much, Councillor Parker. As Councillor Parker says, this is a very important matter, and the sooner we can progress it, the better. We haven't voted on the recommendation yet, so if anybody else has something to say, then this is the time to do it, please. Thank you. Councillor Ward.
Thank you very much. It's just really for my information, and this may have come up before. Are we at risk of reviewing the neighbourhood development plan prior to the development of the next joint local plan, and then having to review the neighbourhood plan again to remain consistent with it? Is there a bit of a gamble here?
If the world was to stand still, then I'd share that concern. However, the world is going to change this summer with the adoption of the new NPPF, the National Planning Policy Framework. What that does is establish one major principle, which is that if there's any conflict between the local plan and the NPPF will rule. So, the sensible thing to do is to concentrate on a neighbourhood plan that complies with the NPPF. As it happens, and I've said this to the DM committee, the NPPF, you know that the real issue is about exception sites on the edge of the settlement and policies TTV 26 and TTV 27, which West Devon officers say are dead and gone. Well, the new NPPF contains two policies very similar to TTV 26 and 27. So, in fact, in the area that we're most concerned about, and most of the 1,500 houses that are in the pipeline at the moment will be on exception sites. If we move reasonably fast, then we can ensure that we've got a framework that's robust and ought to be robust beyond the next joint local plan without having to review it yet again. So I think, does that answer the question?
Yes, it does, thank you.
Thank you.
And I think the sensible way ahead is to seek the advice that we are voting on. So I think we have a proposer and a seconder.
Councillor Moody.
Yeah, Councillor Moody. All those in favour of this recommendation, please. Thank you. Good. So I call upon Councillor Smith, please, to deal with the rest of the DM&L matters. If you would, please, Barry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We're now on item 7, planning matters, which we've covered the first one section also voted on that, so that's finished. I now rise to present the development management licensing on Tuesday the 31st of March. 357, apologies for absence. 358, confirmation of minutes, under which you will see when you've read the minutes of this the item that we've just covered was detailed out there for how we were going to put it, which is why we have the clerk's report on here, which we've done, so that's clear. 359, declarations of interest. 360, start again. 360, Dartmoor National Park Authority, none received. 361, town planning issues. 362, general correspondence. 363, urgent business brought forward at the discretion of the chairman, there were none. And then 364, planning application, little a, planning decisions by West Devon Borough Council, and little b, planning applications, new ones, and recommendation is that the views of the town councillors listed in Appendix B be passed to the local planning authority for consideration, and I would move that, Mr Mayor.
Can we go back to minute 358 and just address that and vote on it, please?
358?
Yeah, so if you could kindly, I know it's a bit bulky, but if you could read that out for...
Read it out as it comes, that's fine.
Yeah, if you would, please.
Okay. Under 358, confirmation of minutes, it was recommended that in reference to minute number 330, which is in the previous DMNL minutes, little a, confirm to full council that the Development Management and Licensing Committee advises that an urgent review of the Tavistock neighbourhood plan should take place and that it should cover at least, first item, a settlement boundary for the town, second item, criteria and constraints affecting the location of developments, item 3, infrastructure requirements, item 4, site allocations for 600 new dwellings and 2 hectares of employment-related land. And then we come on to B, proposing that Councillor Smith, Parker, Hipsey and Moody prepare a programme for carrying out such a review, and little c, hold a briefing event for all councillors to update and inform of the proposal. That was it.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Councillor Parker.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. In view of the recommendation in report number 7, which reads, should the council be minded to endorse minute 358, I move that we endorse minute 358.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much. I think we've discussed that to death, unless anybody has any pertinent points that they need to talk about. Can I have a second on that recommendation, please? Councillor Moody. All those in favour, please. Thank you. Thanks to the General Manager for bringing that to my attention.
And we got
I think
on there, so we've done the planning applications, Mr Mayor?
Yep.
On that one, for those two. 365 is the next meeting, which is of not any consideration now, so we'll go on.
No, we haven't done 364 recommendation yet. So we need to vote on the recommendation in item 364.
364?
If you kindly read that, that's very straightforward.
Sorry. Okay. Item 364, little a, little b, sorry. Recommended that the views of the town councils listed on Appendix B be passed to the local planning authority for consideration, and I would move that, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. A seconder, Councillor Parker. I assume that's a second.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Anybody else? All those in favour, please. Thank you.
Carried.
Please continue, Councillor Smith.
Okay. Right, I rise again, Mr Mayor, to present the minutes of the DMNL meeting on Monday, the 20th of April. 377, apologies for absence. 378, confirmation of minutes. 379, declarations of interest. 380, Dartmoor National Park Authority. 381, town planning issues. And 382, general correspondence. 383 is urgent business brought forward at the discretion of the chairman. I'll read this out, Mr Mayor. It's a licensing application for Wetherspoons, which came on at a very late date.
This was a resolution rather than a recommendation.
It's a would you like me to read it out?
I think we can probably read that ourselves, and anybody else that's watching online can probably read that
Okay.
On from the website. Councillor Parker has something to say there.
I just wonder that the licensing officer has written asking for a little clarification.
I'm not aware of that.
On that resolution. I wonder whether this would be an appropriate place to discuss that.
Sorry, written to whom?
To council.
Oh, okay.
What? Can I stand again, Mr. Mayor?
Oh, please do, yes. Okay. Is it brief?
It's relatively brief. We objected to the fact, if I read it out, prevention of public nuisance, concern resolved that the committee object to the application. Prevention of public nuisance, concerns were raised regarding patrons leaving the premises late at night, particularly in the absence of a police presence at those times, limited availability in taxis and the location of the premises within a developing residential area. In other words, there are more people living within the town of a certain age and style. The second one was public safety. Concerns were expressed regarding insufficient street lighting away from the main road, creating a potential safety risk for individuals leaving the premises at the proposed hour. The extension was for a late night licence on Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Thursday, Friday and Saturday, which means they wanted it to go to 1 o'clock, 1 a.m, which means you get a licence extension Friday, Saturday and Sunday. And with the half an hour drinking up time, which is a requirement by law, everyone's going to be coming out on those 3 nights at 1:30. That was where we thought you were going to get a lot of, I wouldn't say rowdy people, but people who have been enjoying themselves all evening. We put in an objection on that, and what came back from licensing was effectively to say the licensed premises or the licence holder does not have anything to do with the fact there are no police around at that time, that the street lighting is poor, and what he was asking for was we reworded to be more specific to what we wanted to say. That was the...
Indeed.
In other words, the fact that there are people wandering around late at night in dark areas.
Yeah, I can see.
It's got nothing to do with...
It's just a matter of how we address that. Councillor Parker, I think you might have something else to say.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of reading the email from the licensing officer, so I've had a little while to think about it. I think he's actually misreading, and it's probably the way in which we worded it. What we were concerned about is noise and litter from people leaving the premises on foot. That would be exacerbated by the fact that there are no taxis around, no police, so it's a kind of unregulated spilling out of people from Wetherspoons 1 o'clock in the morning in an area that's becoming more and more residential. That's what we were trying to get at.
Yeah.
And maybe, this is a suggestion to the chair, I've just done this as you were speaking. If that first one, I can't think of a better way of putting the second one, I do confess. If that first one was to be changed to concerns were raised regarding noise and litter from patrons leaving the premises on foot at night, particularly, and then carry on. So it's the essences of public nuisance that we're concerned about are noise and litter, not the absence of street lights, not the absence of taxis or police. It's just that happens to be the conditions in West Street at the time.
Yeah.
So that's my suggestion, is that we have those words in.
I'm just trying to unravel the procedural implications of this. Has this objection gone to the local planning authority? Do we know?
Yes.
It's already gone.
Yeah, we had to have it in by today.
Right. Okay. I'm tempted to say that this ought to go back through GM&L, but it's we don't have time to do that. So I think we probably, I think we write as chair of DM&L to clarify the objection that we've made. That, I think, will do the job. So,
As an add-on.
indeed, yes.
Yeah.
Is everybody happy with that? Councillor Edelman.
I was just going to ask, there are a couple of other venues that have late licences in Tavistock, but they seem to be a lot smaller. And my main concern about this licence would be the size of the venue and the number of people that it can hold, being a point of objection, as opposed to perhaps the time and all the other things that we've mentioned.
That did occur to me as well, but this has been discussed at DMNL and this resolution has been passed. So your point is noted. Councillor Johnson, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wonder if I could ask Councillor Edelman if he, I mean, he obviously knows a lot about the licensing laws, but wasn't there something recently about extending licensing laws hours aligned to the World Cup, because it's going to be coming from America and it's going to be coming very late at night here, and I think, I'm not sure if this is the idea at the Queen's Head, but whether or not they'll be broadcasting the football, and if they're going to be broadcasting football, there's going to be a lot of people there watching. I mean, this is just a thought I've had. I don't know if you can add anything
Councillor
to that.
Moody has... No, Councillor Edelman first. If you'd like to respond to that.
Just, I understand that there is something in place, and I don't think you need to apply for a new licence for it. This seems to be a bit more permanent.
Yeah. I'm, unless somebody can correct me, that is this is a permanent request, isn't it? Yes. Councillor Moody.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just for information purposes, the reasons why you can object to a planning application, to a licensing application, is prevention of crime and disorder, securing public safety, preventing public nuisance. So I'm wondering whether antisocial behaviour should be included in the amendment, or possibly. So just a thought. Protecting and improving public health and protecting children and young persons from harm. They're the only reasons that you can give objections. The other point of information is that when I looked at the application, the police hadn't responded. And when I asked the officer what the police have said, given what's in your statement, is that I was told that the police had up till the 28th to submit their objections. To date, I don't know what those objections are.
I think General Manager has something to say on this point.
Listening to discussions, probably the minute itself is an accurate reflection of the discussions. They're just asking for clarity around some of the points. There's two additions which have been put in: the aspect around on foot, the aspect around noise and litter. The two suggestions that you said within that correspondence. I wasn't aware as an officer around the correspondence, and I'm more than happy as lead officer to actually send some email correspondence to provide some clarification around exactly what that minute meant.
That sounds like an excellent resolution. Thank you very much, Wayne. Councillor Parker.
Just listening to the contributions, I think Councillor Moody's point is very good, and so is Councillor Edelman's. Yeah. So just tweaking the proposed changes, concerns were raised regarding antisocial behaviour, noise and litter from patrons leaving the premises late at night, particularly in view of the size of the venue, and then as the original. So I do think all of those two additional points really come
just for
under
clarity,
exemption for public nuisance.
It is crime and disorder.
No,
Public safety and public nuisance.
Can we just,
however you put that.
Can we deal with the General Manager's suggestion is effectively that we allow him to deal with this on an officer-to-officer level. I think that is a sensible solution.
I think that's right.
And then he can pick up all these points and get our views, our collective views, over to the local planning authority. So if everybody's happy with that, that's the way I'd like to leave it.
Mr. Mayor,
Okay.
I totally agree. I think trying to do this on the hoof is
Exactly,
a little
it's
bit-
not-
and
it's-
giving delegated power.
It's
to
not
the
safe
officer
and it's
to do
not
that
not a
is-
good move. So
Exactly.
let's leave it to the general manager and perhaps the town clerk to get our point over. So there is no recommendation here. So I'm going to move on, or rather ask Councillor Smith to move on to 384, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. 384, planning applications. Little A, planning decisions reached by the West Devon Borough Council. Little B, new planning applications, and the recommendation that the views of the Town Council, as listed in Appendix B, be passed to the local planning authority for consideration. 385, next meeting, Tuesday the 12th of May.
Sorry, 384, we have a recommendation to vote on.
Yes,
Yep.
I've
So,
read that out. The
yeah,
view-
but we need to vote on
Oh,
it.
sorry, apologies.
No, so we need a seconder, please, on 384. Thank you, Councillor Parker. All those in favour? Thank you.
Carried.
Yeah. Last one.
384, 385, next meeting, the meeting, or the DMNL, is on Tuesday the 12th of May, here, again, at 6:30. Hope to see you there.
Splendid. Thank you very much
Mr Mayor.
for getting us through that, Barry. Good. So we move on to item 8, if I'm not mistaken, which involves the service reports. We have 4 service reports here. General Manager report, which you have in front of you. Pannier Market report, which is also there. Works Department, and the Town Hall and Butchers Hall report as usual. Are there any points within those various reports that anybody would like to comment on? This is circulated for information only, so there's no need to vote on it, but it would be useful if you have anything to say, to say it now. No, I take that as a no, and so we move on to more reports from internal reports. Item 9, finance and other matters. So again, for information, to receive a report from the administration office, which is there. Would anybody like to ask Adele for clarification, or do you have any comments on that? No. We have a brief report from Councillor Bridgewater of the West Devon Borough Council. I think, to me, the most important point he's making there is the transition involved in the Meadowlands Leisure Centre, which seems to me to have been resolved amicably and with the best interest of the town at heart.
I'd also like to say that
Councillor
it's
Moody.
good news that the Brook Street car park is
Indeed, yes.
being planned to be renovated,
Yes.
but not quite sure when.
No. Councillor Hutton, did you have a point about Meadowlands?
It said temporary for Fusion
Yep.
Meadows, so it's, you know, it's not automatically
No,
saved, is it?
if you have a question on that, I'm afraid it's not something that I don't think any of us can answer. But perhaps you'd address your questions to Councillor Bridgewater. But it's a good point. Yeah. Councillor Johnson.
Sorry, I can do a brief update as far as I understand. Of course, Councillor and Mrs Ewing would have been much better placed to do it than I am. The administrators have taken over at the moment. On the 1st of June, Parkwood Holdings will take over for a 12-month period, in which time they will work up contracts for the future swimming in the town. Let me tell you, there was a huge amount of work and a lot of sleepless nights trying to get to where the Borough Council got for this. Officers and staff and members worked really hard to preserve the swimming pool here in Tavistock and Oakhampton, obviously. They had to get agreement from all councils that had contracts with Fusion. That was not easy. That's all around the country. So, you know, they did work their socks off to get to the position it is at the moment, safeguarding jobs and swimming opportunities for people within the town.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. While we're working our way through reports, we have the notes of the Whitchurch Down Consultative Group meeting.
Just need to note those, don't
Yes, that's just to note, unless anybody has any questions or comments. And then to receive any update from or questions to council representatives serving on other outside bodies in connection with the work of these bodies. Councillor Munro.
I'm happy to say the work is ongoing at the print works with their lower ground floor.
Good.
And they will shortly be holding some events.
Excellent.
They've got a new trustee on board, so I think it will thrive.
Yes, I think it's an important and becoming more important asset in the town. If you haven't actually been round the print works, it's worth having a look. It's a lot going on there, which is great. Any more from other people? And just while we're on that subject, a reminder to be having a think about who you might want to be representing in the next civic year, because it might be an opportunity to do something you've never done before. Oh yes, please, if you'd like to.
First of all, I'll start with Tavi Rail, who had their AGM back at the end of February, I think it was. We have a new secretary. Our long-standing secretary, Tom, has to stand down for personal reasons. He's done a phenomenal job. The new secretary is somebody who actually lives in Exeter, but has a huge background in railways, a guy called Kevin, and he's already daily putting up long Facebook posts. He was interviewed when the Dawlish line went down on Sky News at length about it. He's got a lot of industry knowledge, so that's quite encouraging. Richard Seawright, who's the chairman, and I went to Geoffrey Cox's office to see what he could do. We're waiting for some feedback on that. Oak Rail, which was came out of Destination Oakhampton originally, and the idea originally was to get the railway back to Oakhampton, are looking at their future, because the railway's back. They've now got 2 stations in Oakhampton, and so they're looking at what the future's going to be for them. I think there might be a split in that one group, they look very closely to the bus connections to the railway, so people coming from Bude and Launceston joining up to the railway. Fortunately, the 118 bus will go to the new interchange up at Oakhampton. So we're protected here at Tavistock, but other places aren't as fortunate. I mean, if you live in Hatherley, you've got no hope, really. So we are looking now at the future. Tavistock is the thing that's on the agenda. It seems to be talked about a lot of people. The Combined County Authority has discussed it. There's lots of movement from different groups to kind of move things forward, which of course we need to do. It's a long way off, but we are trying hard. But if anybody is interested in taking over the Oakhampton and Rail and Tavi Rail portfolio on the council, I'd be happy to step aside, but I'd be also happy to continue if necessary.
Splendid. Thank you very much. Sounds as if there is, I was going to say light at the end of the tunnel. No, it's a long way off. Or is it a train coming towards us?
You're going off the rails now.
Oh dear. Stop it. Right, let's get back to the agenda. So we're still on 9 Delta. Has anybody else got any reports to make from outside bodies, please? Good. Right, and the second part of 9 Delta is feedback from members following their attendance at any training sessions. I think the only one I could see was Rob Poppy's done a bit of training there. Has anybody else been involved? Nope.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, there seems to be some things here on the back that you're going to get like some verbal updates on this, maybe?
What's that? I haven't got one.
It appears the Mayor and I have different agendas.
I certainly haven't got anything along those lines.
All right.
So that, I think, wraps up item 9. Item 10, to receive such communications or reports as may be submitted by the town mayor. I don't have anything there, but under item 11, urgent matters brought forward at the discretion of the town mayor. I would just like to draw your attention to an email I sent out during the day, just highlighting the various things that are coming up in the next few weeks. There's some pretty important bits and pieces. well, more than bits and pieces, particularly the annual meeting and the pre-meet, which is a very important part of the civic mechanism, if you like. So please have a look at that. There is a certain amount, a couple of actions that we really require you to take, one of which is to indicate what you would like to do in the next civic year. So that requires your attention fairly urgently. There is also an opportunity still to indicate your attendance if you'd like to come to the Mayor's annual party. The dates are on that email. I would, at this stage, just say, despite its name as the Mayor's annual party, it's far more than that. It's really an opportunity for you as members to thank our staff. It's not just me doing it. So I would urge you, if you possibly can, to come to the West Devon Club on, I haven't got the date just at hand, but it's on that email, to say thank you to our very, very effective staff. So that's 11th of May. Yeah, so do have a look at that. I'm afraid I did get the date of the annual meeting wrong in my first attempt, and I'm indebted to Councillor Munro for putting me right on that. So anyway, just an advert really. Just keep an eye on the horizon, because there are things happening that we need your help and support for. Thank you. So that takes us to item 12, which is exclusion of press and public. Thank you. Good. In the absence of Councillor Ewings, we'll deal with some Part 2 issues.